Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to a Fresh Story podcast. I'm so excited about today's episode because I'm going to say it's one of those kismet episodes that just kind of came to be. I'm going to give you a little background on how this guest came here today, which I guess starts back in the 90s. But technically, I was scrolling Instagram and a very lovely face popped up randomly, somebody I'd never haven't seen on Instagram, and her name caught my attention because it is an unusual name and a name that I'd heard before, which is from middle school, well, elementary school, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And I reached out to her and I was like, "Did you go to this school?" She's like, "I did." And your memoir was just about to come out, and so I'm so excited to have you here. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and then let's jump into this. So who are you?
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me. It is in fact kismet of the highest degree. And I'm so pleased to be here. My name is Zahra Tangorra, and I've just written a culinary memoir called Extra Sauce: The Good, the Bad, and the Onions. And this is pub week, and I couldn't think of like a better way to spend it than jumping on this awesome podcast with you. So thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. And it's just, I think maybe you'll understand what I'm about to say. As somebody that kind of went into an alternative career choice
Hmm.
than a lot of the people we grew up with on the North Shore of Long Island, um, it can feel a little funny sometimes to be like, "Hi, I'm on Instagram and I have a memoir." And I even like I know when I go pick up my kids, they're like, "I liked your Instagram post." And I'm like, "Oh, the one about sex? Cool, thanks." Like, so, it's like you're like a little, and so when I came across you, it felt like it was special for me because I'm like, "Oh, it's somebody else that did something different and really tried to make a name for yourself." So before we even jump into the book, Zara, give us a little bit of background. Like, why culinary stuff? Why food? And also, you've been doing this a long time.
It's true. I have, and kind of in a roundabout way, and that's kind of like what the book is about in a lot of ways. It is obviously specifically my story because it's a memoir, but it really I wanted to hone in on like why we end up doing the things we do, right? How we end up in these alternative kind of lifestyles or whatever lifestyle you choose, whatever career, family, wherever you choose to live. Um, so I was in a terrible accident at age 22 while traveling across country with a musician friend of mine, and at the time, I just really didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have the kind of like straight, like linear um path where I was like, I would like to be a veterinarian. You know what I mean? In fact,
Yeah.
funnily enough, in middle school, I think my aptitude test said I would be like a nut sorter or like a chef for cats and dogs. So
Okay.
so I definitely didn't have an
I'm
idea
not
what I
sure.
wanted to do. So, at 22, I was traveling across country, on tour kind of at the beginning, and our bus driver fell asleep at the wheel, drove us off a 40-foot cliff in the middle of the desert. Luckily, nobody passed away. This was in California. And, I lived and I ended up using the settlement money to, open a restaurant at 26. So, yeah, yada, yada,
Wow.
yada. Here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Exactly. And New York Times. Well, first
Yeah.
of all, I started the book, and you are a phenomenal writer. Let's just put it out
Thank
there.
you.
And the
Thank
way you describe the accident, is haunting and beautiful at the same time.
you.
And, I feel like it's so metaphorical for what we all go through a little bit in our early 20s of like this
Mhm.
crash at 22 of like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life now? Right. I mean, I majored in Latin, Zara.
Totally.
Like, it's like, what, you know, so I get it. So what was the impetus for starting the restaurant, and why weren't you like regular kids that would have just screwed around with the money and, done nothing with it?
Well, I think, part of it is because, I had kind of grown up without feeling like I had a career path, and also as you'll go on in the book, like, I grew up with kind of like a low amount of self-esteem. Funnily enough, like the school that we went to together, like I was there on a scholarship. My parents like didn't have a lot of money, like I wasn't very connected with them. Our relationship was strained. So this felt like this little time I had to kind of do something that would count and matter. And I didn't want to squander it. So I figured I would do the most responsible thing ever and open a restaurant in New York City with no experience at age 26. Um,
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, but in my mind, that was the responsible thing, right? It was more responsible than, buying cars or whatever. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like how it came to be. My parents had been chefs. They had a place in Huntington Bay called the Love and Oven, and it was like this
Oh, yeah.
funky caterer. And so yeah, I had never wanted to follow in their footsteps consciously, but I think that's the thing. Like I'm kind of jumping around here, but I will land the plane, I promise. So after my father passed away, I found out that I had a long lost brother. And I had never met him. My father had never met him before. But when I finally did meet him, he had the same mannerisms as my dad, not just looked alike, but did the same things with his hand. And they had never met, right? They would drink a glass of water the same way. Very strange. And it made me realize that sometimes, we really do have the nature nurture thing. So even though I had never consciously wanted to like be what my parents had been and done what they had done, there was something inside me that was like, just kind of awakened. I'm supposed to be the writer here. Awoke.
No, you're good. You've had a long couple, years doing this book.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder how much of this for you, so we both come from divorced families. We probably were the only divorced kids at the school we grew up with, and
Probably.
I wonder how much of this is, obviously you're an amazing cook and you, are also known for the work you did during the pandemic, which, is amazing. But there's gotta be an element of this too of building a bigger table, right? And
Mm.
and kind of
Hmm.
inviting everybody to sit with you.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like there's, like, a piece of that that's, like, about the gathering aspect?
I really like appreciate that question so much. Thank you. And like, absolutely, 100%. So part of the reason that, like, I ended up, like, wanting to open a restaurant was to, like, create family that I didn't have. Like, I'm an only child, I had divorced parents. So there is something that feels like when you go through that experience when you're young, as I'm sure you know, and a lot of your
Yep.
listeners probably can relate to, like, it just feel there's like a longing for community. And so in opening my restaurant, that was absolutely like one of the main goals and a goal in everything I do, including writing this book, which like I keep saying at like signing events and stuff and readings, like I wrote this book for you guys, which is true, right? Like I really did. I wrote it for people everywhere to kind of find some kind of tether and connection and build some kind of community around something that's like so central to everyone, which is like pain,
Yeah.
no matter what
And
you're
food.
doing.
Yeah.
And food. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating. So what was the jump from I am a restaurateur, you rose very quickly in the ranks of kind of the culinary world in New York City
Yeah.
to I'm gonna write a memoir. Where's that leap?
Well, I was lucky enough that over the years, many people had kind of reached out asking if I'd like to write a cookbook.
Okay.
And I am not a recipe developer at all. Um, like chefs, I think a lot of times people think chefs are great at writing recipes, and this like really couldn't be any further from the truth. Some are, many aren't. I am
Yep.
definitely fall in the camp of not a good recipe writer.
Yep.
Um, but I always really wanted to like have like write a book and share a story. And I was like, well, maybe I don't have to write a cookbook. I happen to be a huge fan of Nora Ephron in general
I
as a
was gonna
filmmaker.
say, this is what it reminds me of. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Nora Ephron, and I love, 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 and was so inspired early on, like in
Yep.
college, by Heartburn. Heartburn
Heartburn.
is one of
That's
my
what I was
favorite
gonna
books
say.
of all time.
I was gonna say
It's
that's
beautiful.
exactly what this reminds me of, heartburn. Yep.
Thank you.
Literally,
I
that's what
love
I
it.
was gonna say.
Another film about divorce and
Yep.
a book about divorce
By the
and
way, Heartburn is my favorite movie of all time.
oh my
Yeah.
god, I love that. It's amazing. It's one
Yeah.
of mine too. I'm a huge Mike
Yeah.
Nichols fan and everyone involved is great. Um, so I love that book and I love how effortlessly she combines like recipes and food, but it doesn't feel like a cookbook. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I think that like food is such a great way to like identify where we've been in life, right? Like little like trail markers. And it's also disarming. So I think in wanting to tell a story about my life and the kind of strange ways in which I came to cooking and why and the accident, my family, um, being able to tell it with food kind of mixed in as more of a narrative than like, oh, here's this recipe for this. It felt more natural to me. There are recipes in the book, and they're family recipes, and they're special recipes, and they're recipes from the restaurant.
Yep.
Um, I think anyone can kind of like find a recipe for anything nowadays. You just go on, Instagram or like look on your on your phone and you find a recipe. So I wanted to try to provide something that felt a little more than that. And this is in no way, shape, or form a knock to the professionals who make gorgeous cookbooks and who are recipe
Yep.
developers. It's just not my skill set.
No, it's a whole other, industry almost
Yeah,
completely. Yeah.
totally.
Um, so can you take us quickly, I mean, take us through the book, Zara, but, like, quickly, like, for
Yes.
somebody that is listening to this and they're like, "Wow, this sounds
Hmm.
like an awesome book. This is a perfect beach read, summer read, like, weekend
Thank
read."
you.
What is the premise? What's your thesis here in this memoir?
Totally. I'm glad you asked that. So, actually the second chapter in is entitled Extra Sauce. And it kind of began as just me like organizing my thoughts, like, okay, well, what does this book actually mean to you? I didn't ever expect it to make it into the book. But then I kind of like finessed it a little bit. And that is kind of the thesis statement. So, you know, I guess in the elevator pitch, like in a world right now where we're being asked to constantly accept less and less, right? Less rights, less chips in your bag, less space in your apartment, less like room in your heart, you know what I mean? Less people in your life. Like this is kind of a call to like ask for more and to embrace the things that are like more about all of us. Um I think that like we live in a way also that feels like we have to kind of like dial it down or find some kind of presentational element and like it's easy to lose track of like who you are. You know what I mean? And who you
Yep.
are is important. And to me, extras as I mentioned kind of in that chapter in the book, um extra sauce is just about like kind of the messiness of being a person, you know? And as it can relate to like, your show and your listeners and stuff, like there's so much messiness when it comes to the undoing of relationships. There's so much messiness that comes with heartbreak, with falling in love again, And like I think it's important to embrace these things and to like look past like what we've kind of come to accept as like idealized perfection or, whatever, and just be
Yeah.
like, extra sauce is really just about what it is to be a human being and to get through this like weird time, which is our being
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah, and also asking for, like, being able to say, "I want joy," right? "I want whimsy. I want all these big, beautiful I want
Absolutely.
a big life," right?
Yeah.
And I always think of the last scene of, The Marvelous Maisel, which is my favorite show,
Mm,
and
right.
she says, "I want a big life," right? But we as women,
Absolutely.
millennial women, are not supposed to say that, and so I love this
Yeah.
idea of extra. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think like, I like to try to think of things that I think to be true or would espouse in the book to be able to be true for everyone in some way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'd like to think that even people who are in extremely dire situations, like, where it's like, I don't want to be like, well, everyone can ask for extra sauce. That's not
Right.
necessarily true. But in some
Yep.
way, right? Like, even whatever situation you may find yourself in life, whether it be of extreme privilege or pain and peril, I would hope that there is just the capacity for everyone to be able to like find like love for themselves, to ask for like more joy, more from the moment, appreciate the joy that they have had in their lives if they are facing something that's really tragic or kind of just like, impossible, feeling like impossible to handle. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
also very important to me and not just to kind of allow this concept to apply to only a certain section of people because I think we can all take
Yeah.
bits of it where we can.
And just the permission, right? To say
Yeah.
like, "It's okay. You're allowed to ask for
Yeah.
more," like, whatever that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, I'm gonna ask a couple fun questions.
Oh, please.
What's your in the spirit of heartburn, your favorite food to make after a heartbreak?
Yeah, I love this question. So, I am the kind of person that after a heartbreak, I am a non-eater. I'm a stress non-eater. I've historically been, not anymore, but a cigarette smoker
Mhm.
and, have a half a bottle of wine and like listen to music or watch a movie. But when I start to feel better, my like heartbreak food is spaghetti with marinara sauce. It's so simple. It's so comforting. It's what my mom used to make for me when I was going through a heartbreak. And it's just, there's something about like the warmth and the mouthfeel and the comfortability and the ease in which like you can either attain it or make it for yourself. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
not like complicated. And it feels good. So yeah, spaghetti with marinara sauce, pecorino, olive oil.
It's perfect,
What
and
about
we
you?
talk oh, that's a great question. I mean, that sounds perfect to me, honestly. I just love, the only pasta I don't love is penne. I just don't like the
Oh,
shape. No,
I agreed.
but
Who likes penne?
I
Raise your
don't.
hand out there
I
if you
love,
like penne.
I love cavatappi. It's, like, my favorite, but, I mean, with a
Great.
little bit of olive oil and, it's, like, perfect, but I, was gonna say we talk a lot about rituals. It's something that we are writing
Mhm.
about in our book too, and ritual is whatever you make it, right? And so it's
Yeah.
just that moment of slowing down and taking time, and that sensory part, which I think you really do such a beautiful job of in the book of,
Thank you.
framing that out. Um, Before we go, I know your mom was a big part of this.
Huge part.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite thing that she makes you?
Well, my mom is a fantastic, fantastic cook and a fantastic person. And she makes so many things that are delicious. But it's funny, like, she's known for her spanakopita. That's also a recipe that you can find in the book is her incredible spanakopita. She's made them for everything. The elementary school that we went to,
Mhm.
um, had a bake sale, I remember when we were kids, and everyone else's mom made like cupcakes
Blondies.
and
Yeah.
chocolate
Mhm.
cookies, exactly. My mom bought, like, spinach pie, like mini spinach
Now
pie.
is she Greek? Is her background Greek?
She's not, no,
Okay.
she's not, she's, Jewish. My dad was half Italian and half Irish, but they had this, like,
Yeah.
catering business, and they did a lot of, like, little mini past hors d'oeuvres, and then she just became famous for her spanakopita. She made them last night for a book event. I still have some in the fridge. They're good hot or cold, so
I
I
was
think
gonna
my mom's
say.
spanakopita. Love it,
I
love
love
it, love it,
that.
love it.
I think you can tell a lot about a person by how their community responds when they do something special, like launch a book.
Yeah.
And it's been really fun to see everybody celebrating you. And I just want to say that.
Thank
And
you.
everybody just so you clearly are somebody that loves to bring people together and celebrate and honor, right, the life that people have because you know how quickly it can be taken away. Um,
Totally. Thank you for saying that.
so I'm just so delighted that we reconnected and I'm so excited about this and I'm so excited for you because you deserve all of this. And I know
Thank
how hard you
you.
work. Where can we buy extra sauce?
Extra sauce is available really anywhere where you buy books. I'm always gonna suggest that you go to your local bookseller. I think most local bookstores are carrying the book, like, throughout the country as far as I could tell. After that, you can always go to penguinrandomhouse.com and search for extra sauce or for my name, and it'll have a list of other booksellers that are larger if you can't find it in your area. Yeah, so that's where you can find it, and you can check out any updates on my website at zahratangorra.com. And yeah, thank you, Olivia. Thank you so much. This is a wonderful podcast. What you're doing on Instagram, the community you've built, what you
Thank
do for
you.
people is so important. And the treat was all mine, and the pleasure was all mine. And I'm really
I'm
lucky.
thrilled. I'm super thrilled we reconnected. We'll have to meet up
Yeah.
soon. But
Yes, that'll be
um,
fun.
one more question for you, which is what's coming up next for you? Because you clearly aren't slowing down.
Well, that's a good question. I think I'm going to take this time to just really try to be present and really try to be in the moment and enjoy it. My goal is in writing, one of my goals in writing this book was to kind of shift in my career away from, like, the kind of tactile, hands on cooking all
Yeah,
the time and to be more food adjacent and to be working in writing my own books and, trying to help people write their books and developing all kinds of, like, writing things. So,
I
knock
love
on
that.
wood, I've got some
Mm.
wood right here on the desk that
Yeah,
everything from now on is more writing centric with, of course, food always being the
I
undertone.
do
So
not doubt that for 1 second, and I'm very excited to join one of those
thank you,
groups.
Olivia. That'd be
Thank
great.
you so much for being here. We will put the link for extra sauce, the good, the bad, and the onions with an adorable childhood photo in the front. And if anybody wants to know who else is reading this book, a lady by the name of Ruth Reichel, who you may know, little known person. So we
So
appreciate you.
cool.
Cannot wait to dig into this, and please come back to talk about food anytime.
Thank you, Olivia. This was absolutely an honor. Thank you for having me.